Hi everyone, welcome to Woolen Spinning. This is episode 56 and it is Thursday, February 9th, 2017. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Rachel and I can be found pretty much everywhere as Welford Pearls. Thank you in particular to those who are returning viewers and for coming back and watching the show again and again and again. I really appreciate your viewership and your contribution in the Ravelry group and on Instagram and all the other places that I interact with all of you. As well, I want to say a special welcome to those who are new to the show and are just checking it out for the first time. I hope that you enjoy the show. And to those who are Patreon subscribers, thank you so much to each of you for keeping the show on the air and for contributing to helping with just general costs of running a podcast like this. And I appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you so much. Because it is the second week of the month, I do a Patreon draw. This is for people who are Patreon subscribers to the show, and I just randomly draw somebody's name, and you can choose from either stitch markers from my Etsy shop, or you can have a mug, a woolen spinning mug. So please just let me know which one you would like. And this month's winner is Emily. So congratulations, Emily. If you could just get in touch with me and let me know which you would like. If you choose stitch markers from the Etsy shop, please just send me the link to rachel@welfordpearls.com or through Etsy, letting me know which ones you choose, because sometimes it's a bit confusing as to which one people want. So congratulations, Emily, and thank you again for your Patreon subscription. I have some spins in progress this week that I wanted to talk about, and I also have a new whip that I mentioned last week but I didn't really talk about, so I thought that I would share that with you this week. Before I get into all of the projects and all the things that are happening, I just wanted to say there won't be anything about color studies this week. I didn't get any more fiber spun. It's just been a little bit too crazy. It's been insane at work, and I was a little bit too emotionally drained to start thinking about wanting to spin color studies and what I was going to do with a little bit of the fiber that's left from the summer colorway. For those who are wondering what I'm talking about, you can head over to the Ravelry group, Wool and Spinning, and you can learn all about it there. I just was feeling like it was a little bit too much this week, so I did put it on the back burner. The other thing, my dad made me some new sock blockers. So these are, he just used the template that I already had, and he made me a set of sock blockers. So like, how cool are these? They are wood. My old ones I still have them obviously, but they catch really badly along here. And so when I'm sliding the socks on, I can't really slide them on very easily, and the yarn catches, and it's just this big nightmare of trying to get things organized and trying to do photos and whatnot. So my dad made me a set of sock blockers. So that was just so thoughtful of him, and I had given him one of my sock blockers and said, like, if you think you can do it, I'd really appreciate it, but if not, don't worry about it. And here I am. So I might actually ask him to make me another pair because these are just so great, and they're the perfect width, and they just are going to work really well. So my new sock blockers. All of the noise, sorry. So I have a spin in progress. For those who are Patreon subscribers, I actually used this spin that I'm working on as the teaching content for February. So if you haven't watched that yet and you're a Patreon subscriber, you should have received the link for this spin. So I'm not going to talk about it too much, just because the technique and how I'm doing this spin is actually on that video. But this is West Coast Color and Carding. I think she's just West Coast Color now, but it's westcoastcolor.net if you're interested in learning more about Lynn's colorways and about her fiber. And this is on the PMS base, which is 65% Polworth, 10% silk, and 25% yearling mohair. Each of these, so I have two braids of this, and each of them were 128 grams. And the colorway looks like this. It's just absolutely beautiful. The cowl that I knit a while ago, spun and knit a while ago, back in the fall, was this same base. And that cowl was grays and pinky reds, like a maroon. And there was bits of undyed fiber in there. It was very gray overall though, and there was some ochre yellows in there. I bought these two colorways at the same time, and my original plan was one was going to be the cowl, and then the other one was going to be a shawl, or maybe a vest, or I wasn't totally sure, and I'm still not totally sure, but I'm just absolutely loving how this is spinning up. And it's got a lovely halo because of the mohair, and it's heathering and marling in quite a few places because I'm getting two colors twisting together in places. So I'm getting these really lovely marling effects in places. So I'm really wondering how it's going to ply up, because I am going to do a 2-ply. It's Sunday night. So my husband and I had a glass of wine with dinner, and I haven't finished my wine. So because of the marling and the places in the colorway that are marling, I'm really interested to see if some of that will come out in the finished yarn, and if that heathering effect will be preserved or not. So this is half of the second braid of fiber, and I'm hoping to have this done by next week, because this is part of my Spin the Bin, and this is my February spin. So my goal for Spin the Bin this year, and this is something that is happening in the Completely Twisted and Arbitrary group on Ravelry. So if you're interested in learning more about Spin the Bin, go and look up the Completely Twisted and Arbitrary group. There's a whole bunch of rules and stuff. I've talked about it in previous episodes. So I chose 12 4-ounce braids of fiber to spin through 2017, and my goal was to do one per month. My spin for January is done. It was my Kinfolk Corriedale in the colorway Mardi Gras. And then I started my Yarn Ink spin a couple of weeks ago that's on merino. I think it's superwash merino. And then there was this one. So I'm actually ahead of my bin. I only was supposed to be doing one per month, and I'm actually, if I can get this finished, that will mean that I'll have 3.5 spins done. So in February, I may actually get 4 of my Spin the Bin spins done, which is awesome. And I'm enjoying my Spin the Bin more than I thought that I would. So the fact that I want to spin the fiber and I'm excited to spin the fiber is really great. So this is going to be a second full bobbin, and then I'll ply it up, and I'll have a 2-ply. I don't know what my yardage will be. I'm really hoping for something substantial enough to do either a vest or probably a vest. I'm not sure. I say that, and then I always end up not doing what I say I'm going to do, but that's my plan. We'll see. Might be a shawl. I don't know. The other spin that I have going are these old ponies, and if you follow me on Instagram or you saw last week's show, you would have seen a teaser of these. I made these back when I very, very first got my blending board, and they may have actually been the first project off my blending board. I'm not sure. It was definitely one of the first projects, if not the first. And I only have these, and I've spun 4 or 5 of them now, maybe 6. So this is all I have left, and I can't make any more because I don't have any more of this Corriedale anymore, this undyed tan. But because they've been in my stash for so long, they're quite compacted. And I talked about compacted fibers last week. But the other thing too is I didn't make them very evenly. And so there's areas where when I draft them apart, they just don't come apart very nicely. And then there's other areas that come apart beautifully. Corriedale's kind of a longer fiber, and it's not one of my favorites to use on the blending board. I find fibers like merino are a little bit better, Polworth, sort of the shorter, finer fibers. So you see, it gets really knotted in places, and it's just because the Corriedale is so long. So I've been pre-drafting them out like this as long as I can. And once I have it all pre-drafted out like this, I've been doing this at night just before bedtime for about 5-10 minutes. I have been spinning on my little supported lace spindle. So this is just my lace one, and I showed this on the podcast last week, and it's a very fast spindle, but it's not my favorite supported spindle. I've I've spun on a couple of other ones that I like better, and my other ones that I own I like better, but I like the speed of this. And I actually grabbed a little metal bowl from our kitchen, and I've actually been using that to spin on, and it's been I've had nice speed from it. So I've been working away on that, and I did actually spin up the first little bit, and I thought, ooh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this very much. I think I better like ply this and see if I like it and if I should keep going. And it's such a little amount of fiber that like I probably could have done the whole thing and sampled the whole thing, and it wouldn't have mattered if I didn't like it. But I was also really excited to see what it looked like, and I didn't really want to keep spinning more fiber. I kind of just wanted to ply something, and so I did. So this is the little sample that I've spun, and I really, really like the yellow in it. This yellow is probably my most favorite color ever. And I did ply it quite firmly. It's not a particularly soft yarn. I've already washed this, and it's still got quite a bit of twist in it. So I'm going to wash it again because I don't think I snapped it. I think I just soaked it and then hung it to dry. So the heathering and the barber poling I really, really like. And then there's lots of places where the Corriedale actually matched up, and I've got sort of a semi-solid undyed gray. So it's a really beautiful yarn, and I'm happy with it. And actually this is going to go into, and is a perfect segue into, my pop blanket. So you guys will remember, and I didn't bring it up because oh yes, I did. I was working on the mitered squares, the sock yarn blanket that everybody's working on, and I kind of got a little bit burned out on it. So I've just put it aside. I'm not going to do anything with it for now. I'm just going to put it aside. And but I really wanted to do something with all of this carded fiber that I had in my stash, particularly the yarns that I had that were from the Woolen Spinning Fiber Club from back in the fall, because I really wanted to do something to really showcase those yarns, because I was really proud of those fibers that I mailed out to all of you guys, and I really wanted to do something to really show it off. And I have a lot of them that I spun up myself, and I also have a lot of those types of fibers in my stash that I dyed myself or I carded up myself. This is a really good example of one that I have done myself and been working on. And I have all these little projects on from my spindles and leftovers and just all sorts of carded stuff and dyed myself type stuff. And so I think I mentioned this last week. So I started the Sunny Spread blanket, and these are the first 4 squares that I had actually gone ahead and attached together to see what it would look like. And while I really like it, and while I think it's very visually appealing, and this is just Cascade 220 in the colorway 8010, which is just a cream. While I like it and it's very pleasing, it was using so much yarn. So much yarn that like each of these circles were using about 50 grams, or sorry, not 50 grams, 50 yards of hand spun. And so I was finding that like I was running out of yarn. And I was going to either have to card up and spin up a ton more, or I was going to have to rethink my project. So I got to some of these, and don't get me wrong, they're beautiful. They're really, really pretty. I really love them. It's just that they're using too much yarn. So I went back onto Ravelry and I started looking at some different projects out there. And I kept coming back to a project that I've wanted to make for a really long time. And my friend Chrissy over at Snappy Stitches has made this blanket. And I kept coming back to it and kept coming back to it. And she had great results. And I've seen hers in person quite a number of times. And so in the end, I decided I'm a big fan of Tin Can Knits. I'm going to buy the pattern, take a leap of faith. And if it doesn't work out and it's not really what I want to make, and I end up not using the pattern after all, I'll save it in my library, like all patterns that you buy on Ravelry are, and I'll use it later. But I'm really happy. I'm glad that I took the leap of faith, because this is perfect. So this is the Pop Blanket by Tin Can Knits, and I've only done 2 squares thus far. So this was October's Fiber Club, and I'm using the Cascade 220 around the outside, and this is already blocked. I've already washed and blocked it. Ooh. And this is my other one. This was January's Fiber Club, the last Fiber Club that went out. I spun it as a 2-ply, and this was January. So this was one of the ones that was dyed by Katrina before she started her own Fiber Club over at Crafty Jack's, which is really cool. So I ripped out one of these. This is the October Fiber Club Sunny Spread that I had done before I started the pop blanket, obviously. So I ripped one of these out and I knit this, and I still have all of this left over. So I'll still be able to get a second block out of this yarn. And I may even be able to get I'll get 2 more out of this for sure. And I may even get a 5th because of what's left over from this and what's maybe left over from this one. But I'll get 4 for sure for only 2 of these circles from the Sunny Spread crocheted blanket. So while my original goal when I first started making these blankets was to use up yarn, now I'm sort of like, oh no, wait, this is using too much yarn. So I've sort of stepped back, and I'm going to rip all of these out. And unfortunately I have a lot of them, so I have to rip out a lot of them. I have this whole bag full of these things, but I'm going to rip them all out, and I'm going to start making my pop blanket squares. So that is what I've decided to do instead. And I've been actually trying to do 2 per week. So this was last week's 2. And then this week I'll try and get 2 more done. And then the next week I'll do 2 more. These do take me a bit longer than these were taking me, because crochet for me is just so fast. And these are done. I did these ones on double points. I don't know if I'm going to do DPNs for the other ones. I might do the magic loop because it is a little bit faster for me, but I'm just going to wait and see. And I am going to block them as I go, so that as I go I can also attach them. So that's sort of my plan right now, and that's what I'm going to do with all of this carded hand spun and dyed by me hand spun. So I'm actually kind of excited about it, because like this, for example, used up pretty much all of this particular fiber that was that Romney that was felted and fulled, and I carded it. I spun this on my Lundrum on my quill, and it was really fun to work with the yarn, but it used so much of it. And so out of this big circle, I'll be able to get 2 of these blankets, blocks for the pop blanket out. So yeah, I just feel a little bit better about that. I think it'll actually be a little bit nicer, and it'll showcase the yarn a bit better. So that is something that I started last week that I was excited to share with you guys. I have something else to share with you, but I can't really drag my loom up here and share it with you on here. So I'm going to throw a couple of photos in here at the end. As some of you know, if you follow me on Instagram, I did receive my Ashford Rigid Heddle loom this past week. I've already pulled a scarf off of it, but it was not out of hand spun, so I'm not going to show that here. But I'm really excited about it, and I did just start a weaving project out of my hand spun. So I'm going to throw in a couple photos here, and I will talk about this project next week. Until next time, happy spinning. Stay safe if you're getting really wintry weather where you are like we are here. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye, guys.